Okay, great. Thank you, Kathleen. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're really excited about being able to share some information with you concerning remote learning technology and everything we're trying to do together as a team in information management technology, along with other departments and divisions across the city school district in supporting this new and remote learning environment. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Glenn Vandewater. I am the Chief Technology Officer for the Rochester City School District. But really who we're going to focus on is part of the IM&T team. I'm going to also introduce Tim Johnson. He is the Director of Learning Management Systems, which basically encompasses everything we're doing within the Google environment, students that may be taking online credit recovery or online advanced placement courses and such. Also, we have teachers who have extraordinary expertise in remote learning technology and have been supporting students and families during this time. I would like to introduce Kathleen Mohan, who you may have seen earlier. Taya De La Gente is also a member of our team, but she is working with the Spanish breakout room. We also have our honored guest, the President of the Board of Education, President Van White. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to the Director of Learning Management Systems, Tim Johnson, to talk a little bit about the technology that we have available to our students.
Thank you very much, Glenn. For those of you that have been with the district for a while, you are aware that we have been rolling out Chromebooks, one-to-one Chromebooks for all K through 12 students. And at this point, just about every student has a Chromebook. If for some reason your child or someone that you know does not have a Chromebook, maybe they're new to the district or they had a device of their own and they're in need of a Chromebook now because maybe their device is broken, they can feel free to reach out to their school. And we're typically able to turn that around in about 24 to 36 hours. Chromebook will show up at their home school to be ready for pickup. Also, you may be aware that we have deployed several thousand MiFi hotspots to students who do not have robust home internet. And those hotspot devices are not necessarily, if you already have Spectrum or Frontier or something like that, that would be what you would use. But if you lack connectivity or there's some sort of other issue in accessing technology, we do have those hotspots available. And then very soon, we are hoping to start to roll out Chrome tablets for all of our pre-K students. If you've never seen a Chrome tablet, it is kind of like an iPad that runs Chrome OS like our Chromebooks. So just about everything functions the same. It is a very useful device, and we are hoping to be able to start rolling those out very, very soon. I mentioned this earlier, but if for some reason a K through 12 student is currently lacking a device, just reach out to your child's homeschool and they can work on providing one. And the same thing applies for technical troubleshooting or damage. If the Chromebook stops working or there's some sort of problem, contact your homeschool, either your child's teacher or the main office staff can put in a ticket with our help desk. And then we have 4 locations actually for swap out or exchange of devices, including contact-free lockers. And once you put in a ticket, that person will give you some options on where you can pick up a replacement device. Thank you, Kathleen.
All right. So next up, what we wanted to do when we were looking at what were things that parents really needed to know and what questions we've been getting, we wanted to show everybody what resources are available for families and students. So on our RCSD Learns website, which hopefully everybody's heard of at this point, rcsdk12.org/rcsdlearns. On this website, it is going to bring you to all of the resources that we have put together. So you're going to go ahead and just click on families and students. Now we've tried to break this down into a nice, easy way of maneuvering, and we're going to look at a couple of these items here. Number one, let's take a look at our Chromebooks and Wi-Fi section. So under here is everything you would want to know or would ask. And if it's not on here, we're adding to it daily. All the information about how to manage the data. Because as Tim was saying, our MiFi hotspots do only have 10 gigs of data a month on them. And this is one of the biggest questions that we are getting in instructional technology is, why are my students' Zoom video not working? Why is the sound not working? How can they see their teacher? So the biggest issue with this is that their 4G, their high speed data has run out, and they're now using their 3G lower speed data. So a couple things that you can help your students with, your children, is that if they turn off their video during their class, they'll be able to see and hear their teacher a lot better. Doing the video takes a lot of bandwidth and a lot of gigabytes. So this is just one of the documents and some tips that are available to you on our RCSD Learns website. Now I can scroll down to the bottom and I can get back to my section. Chromebook troubleshooting. We are getting a lot of questions about why isn't this working? What's going on with that? And about 90% of the phone calls that I'm getting, that I'm working with families, the issue is that they need to hold the power button down on the Chromebook for 10 seconds to restart it. So under our troubleshooting section, we do have stuff that helps you what to do, but then we also have who to call, which is your child's teacher or your homeschool, to fill out a help desk ticket, which then you'll get a call back from somebody in the district. And let's head back over to there. And just some other things in here if you're having a hard time connecting to the MiFi, or if your child is not using a district Chromebook, we do have the guide under personal devices, how they can access their Rock Connect and all of their information. Let me go ahead back to our families and students tab and show you our next item, our parent and student resources. So our department, Instructional Technology, has gone through and has made guides for both parents and students on all the platforms that we as Instructional Technology support in the district. So if there is anything that you want to know about Seesaw, Classroom, Zoom, and how to access it, all of those resource guides can be found on RCSD Learns in the Parent Resource Guide section. I can head back here. Your Seesaw and Google Classroom. At this point, I believe our students, now that it's mid-November, you're familiar with whether or not your student is doing Google Classroom. So for grades 3-12, or our K2 students use our Seesaw platform. This icon here will give you what the difference is between them, and also links with how you can get started and what to download, and everything that you would want to know about Seesaw and Google is listed under there. The other piece, the last piece I want to show you, is our Zoom piece. I know we've been getting a lot of questions and about Zoom, and we put together a quick little guide for parents and families in both English and Spanish. You know, we kind of laugh sometimes about check how you're dressed, but there's been quite a number of incidents, and I know we're guilty in our house with my stepson on Zoom, forgetting that the camera is on, and just making sure that what's on camera and what's visible around them is appropriate for their classroom. Also, one of the most important things on here is making sure that your students have a nice quiet location that they can be on their Zoom. And if they have access to headphones, that helps greatly in their ability to hear their teacher. So these are just a few guides for you that you're welcome to go through and to just see what ways can you help your student while they're in their online class. There's also some etiquette guides for our students as well. If this would be a great thing for you to go through with your child to make sure that they're interacting with their Zoom class appropriately. So those are just some of the programs that we have here that I wanted to go through with you. The last piece that I just wanted to show you, and I believe everybody should be familiar with this at this point, is our student application page or our Rock Connect. At all the students, when they log into their Google account and they click their home button, this is their home page. So once they log in, depending on the age level of the students, they have different applications available. If they go through Rock Connect, they will be automatically signed into all these applications where they won't need their username and password. It will just sign them in. So this is their jumping off point. That is basically everything that we wanted to at least make sure to show you. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen for a second. And I know today we also have in the room President Van White. If President Van White, if you had anything you wanted to say, or if anybody in the parent participation list has any questions, please, this is the chance that you can either write it in the chat to one of us or to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question.
Let me just say, I certainly don't have any questions. And in fact, you've answered some questions that I think I and other folks had about the technology, why it doesn't seem to be working. Perhaps you don't have enough, this is probably not the right word, bandwidth. So I thought this was was that the right word?
It was.
Okay, so this clarified a lot of things for me, and I appreciate you guys making your expertise available. And more importantly, we really appreciate our parents and our caregivers and supporters of our children making themselves available to learn this stuff. So thanks again, and I'll just continue to listen. Thanks.
All right. Are there?
Hi, Kathleen, we have 2 questions in our chat. So our first question is, will the district be providing headphones to students for the academic year?
Glenn or Tim, did you want to take this?
Sure, I can take that. So students that have been going to the R centers, we have been deploying headphones to the R centers. It's not something that we've come across much for students that are working at home. However, if there are concerns about ambient noises, things like that, that may be distracting to lessons, please contact your child's school. They'll reach out to our team members here and make sure you're receiving the necessary tools for your child to be successful. Absolutely.
And just to jump on that with audio issues, Glenn, one of the items in our CSD Learns in the parent guides is there was a lot of issues with students' volumes being too high on the Chromebook. And we have a video in there to show you how for them to turn their microphone volume down along with their speaker volume so that they're not getting as much feedback and as many issues. There's also a video on how one of the big things is how to reset your student's profile name so it's the same each time. So right on that parent guide page, and let me show it to you real quick while I'm talking about it, is, let's see here, we've got parents and student resource guide. We have here on Zoom, the parent guides and changing your profile name. And then also in Chromebook, we have the turning down your video I believe it's somewhere. I just have to look, but and if not, I'll put it right here as well. So that'll be how to turn your video down, the volume down, so it's easier to hear.
Okay, thanks, Kathleen. I have two other questions. The first one is, what's the best way to block certain websites so my child doesn't open them?
Tim?
So the best way for you to request something like that would be to either contact the school or the teacher, and then they can open up a ticket, and we will be able to take a look at the website and see if it's something that we can block.
Thanks, Tim.
You know, the only thing I would like to add to that piece is that the MiFis that we deploy and the Chromebooks we deploy do a very good job of routing the internet searches and interactions through our light speed filters. So it's great to hear if there's something that's being missed, but thank you.
Okay, I did have the parent follow up and is saying if a Chrome extension can be used to block websites as well.
So the way that the current district filter works, it's actually an extension in itself. So we can't install any additional blocking extensions because they'll conflict with the filtering extension.
Okay. All right, thanks, Tim. The next question I have is, will there be more MiFi units available soon for parents?
Sure. So we continue to partner with philanthropic agencies. The most recent is the T-Mobile 10 Million Project, where we are going to be receiving relatively very soon 2,900 additional MiFis. And then beyond that, through philanthropic donations and local governments, we're hoping to increase that number for an additional 5,000 MiFis.
Thanks, Glenn. Parents, I'm not seeing any more questions in my chat. Look, 1 second, let me see, I'm reading one more. There's one here. What about program teachers used in schools to shut down Windows? My child said her teacher could do it from her laptop live. Are teachers able to use programs like that for blocking websites?
So that is the same product that filters the district's internet, and that is the Lightspeed product. And in the remote environment, the teachers do not have the ability to close student tabs as they do in an in-school environment.
All right, thanks, Tim. I have another question here. I have a parent who says she's been trying to use the Google Classroom summary to keep track of her child's assignments, but missing assignments from over a couple of weeks that are not showing up. How can she remedy that?
So one of the best ways with that is to log into your child's Zoom and access their account that way. Unfortunately, Google Classroom for parents, the parent view is typically only a summary. It's not a really good representation of what assignments the student has. So logging in as the student and checking it that way would be your best way to do that.
Okay. I have another question here. Well, statement and question. As educators, when our students' cameras are not on, all too often the students are not engaging. Can the band that is on be increased, so the bandwidth be increased so that students can have their cameras on?
So with that question, and I'll take a little bit, Glenn or Tim might be able to, so Zoom and how much bandwidth it takes to use your camera has absolutely nothing to do with us. It's just a matter of what it takes to run video, to upload, and download video on Zoom. So the bandwidth, being able to expand it, right now our MiFi units have the 10 gigabytes. So that is not expandable at this point. For teachers who are worried about students interacting when the videos are off, coming up with different ways to do quick check-ins and ways to engage their students. Remember that like sharing a Google Doc or using Pear Deck or using Kahoot, all of those items do not require the use of the students to be on video, and does allow the teacher to see the student interacting in the back end without them using up all their bandwidth. So really saving that video on time for the time when it is required, and that are short bursts, so that we're able to let our students have access to the 10 gigabytes as much as possible throughout that month.
That was a fantastic answer. But in addition to being able to turn on the cameras themselves, again, I talked a little bit about the MiFis we're getting. We're taking a look at historical data that's being used by students and students that may need more data. And again, we're coming up with solutions in the relatively near future with these new MiFis that we're going to be receiving that will potentially address that issue. That was a great answer, Kathleen. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn and Kathleen. I haven't seen any other questions, but I do want to mention that we also have in this session our director of pre-K. So if persons have any questions about preschool students in a remote environment, we are also able to take those. Or if Ms. Hooper, if you're able to come on and maybe give us a little bit of insight on what's happening with preschool in virtual environment.
Good morning. It's great to be here. And I just wanted to let everyone know that we've been working hard on getting devices for our preschoolers. We're finally at the point where we've been able to order enough Chrome tablets for all of our current preschoolers. And it's just a matter of us waiting for those to come in. And we are also getting some MiFi devices, hopefully. Have been part of the district's efforts to get more of those. So if through philanthropists and others. So we are waiting to hear about that. And we may have some that we did already receive too. So things are moving right along. In our program, we want to be able to provide the virtual lessons for children, which are short. They're about 15 minutes in duration. We have about 4 to 5 of those kinds of sessions per day, plus large group motor sessions with music that are developed by our pre-K music teacher. And in addition, we have the hands-on learning kits, because virtual learning alone isn't sufficient for preschoolers. So those are the efforts that we've been making and what we're doing now. And our goal is for every child to be able to access all of the resources that we're providing.
Thanks so much, Robin. Any other questions from our parents? Feel free to jump in. You don't have to now at this point type them into the chat. We are recording this session so that if other parents would like to watch this, we will be posting this session to the public on Monday on our Facebook, on our website, and on our YouTube channel. So please feel free to jump in with any questions at this time. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, President White.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I just wanted to, as I indicated a few moments ago, want to thank the staff, but in this instance, Ms. Hooper, because I know a lot of parents who don't have pre-K children or early age children like myself, wondered how you could provide instruction to children so young who, as a parent, 3. I remember those days where the attention span is low and it requires supervision. So it's good to hear you describe what the technology is, what to try to address that, because I know there's got to be people out there who maybe don't have children that young, who have to be left wondering, how can you possibly provide that kind of instruction with a computer with a child that young? So thank you for providing that. And Ms. Hooper, if you could you explain very briefly how that might, a parent's day might look for a child that young in pre-K or let's say in the earlier grades, 1 or 2 or 3, what's the technology? What would be the process, very briefly, for what would that look like?
Well, frequently it's the teacher demonstrating a particular learning skill, and then, providing an opportunity for students and their parents to be able to practice that. And particularly in the areas of learning songs, chants, counting, letters. With the students who are a little bit older, it's the oral reading, being able to hear words being said aloud and pronounced correctly, so that the child will recognize that word. For young children too, having stories read and then having questions. And one of the interesting things that we're looking at now is looking at apps that can also translate for children who speak other languages other than English or their parents. And I think that could be a real strength of the use of this technology to make it accessible to everyone.
Thanks, Robin. I have one more question from a parent. My kid has a real hard time remembering to get on at night at the right time. Is there some type of alarm or feature or way for teachers to call the kids for their sessions?
Unfortunately, with Zoom, there is not a call or notification system. Now, what parents can do to assist their students, I know for myself with my stepson, we set up his in his Google account, and all of your students have a Gmail account with a calendar. We set up his classes with times in his Google Calendar and set up reminders on there so that it does go and pop up on the screen. We also have a written out schedule posted above his desk, and each of us, my husband and I both have his schedule posted, and we've asked whatever device in our house has the ability to remind us of anything, goes off right before 10 minutes before each of his classes. That way, just because as a younger student, we're trying to teach him time management and help him put that schedule together, yet still having the responsibility of going on himself, but with some guidance.
Okay.
I did see one other question in the chat about home internet provisioning, I believe. So depending on what type of router you have and depending on what internet connection, you can go into the app and schedule how much for each person. But with the MiFi hotspots, that is not possible. But depending on your internet provider and your router information, you can.